I performed in Muzaffarnagar, Shrimoy, which is heartland UP. You have to take you have to drive down from Delhi, and all people giving me gyan about how unsafe it is, communally volatile. Oh my God, Sona, don't do your usual thing, go off stage, security, maintain the protocol. And guess what? I started this journey with 4 bodyguards, and I suddenly discover a 4-lane highway, which was amazing.
Hi Sona, welcome to India today. I am Shrimoy from
Hi.
the digital team. So I wanted to ask you that you have shifted your attention majorly to making music that is independent, that has a voice. So why did you feel the need to part your ways from Bollywood, like mainstream commercial Bollywood projects and all?
Absolutely not parting ways with anyone. I mean, that's the thing. That's the beauty of life currently. It's not either or, it's always an and. And I have never, anyway, been somebody who was hankering after only singularly one kind of artistry, which is either playback singing or just singing for that matter. Storyteller is what I call myself. I'm a live performer with great pride, I feel, over and above the fact that I'm an artist who expresses herself not only musically, but also in the way I dress, also in my social commentary, in what issues I talk about. And now I made a film called Shut Up Sona, and which has
Exactly.
not only done the rounds of all the top festivals, officially selected, won a lot of awards, including the national award, let me add. And I think it's the first of its kind artist documentary feature. And it's going to get a proper mainstream release in a big homegrown platform like Z5. So I am feeling on top of the world because that doesn't mean I've stopped singing for either films or performing on stage or making my own original music. I've been doing all of it all along. And just that right now, I think, for lack of a better word, I'm on steroids. I just feel I have so much to say, so much to do, and a legacy to create. And hopefully be someone who makes a change, even for other artists, other upcoming artists, saying that you don't have to be so vulnerable. And while there are these very rara articles coming out about how live music is coming back with a big bang, I think weddings and such don't make for the live music scene. We need to have a touring circuit, which is sorely lacking in India. And the tragedy of KK, I mean, at least we got, the media's attention finally on something very important. Live entertainers and musicians on stage rarely occupy any of media's interest. It's mostly politics, cricket, or Bollywood. And I think it's interesting to acknowledge that musicians and music adds a beautiful, beautiful energy of lot of beauty and healing in our lives. And if anything, the pandemic has shown us the number of reels that people were making on my songs and dancing around. I was like, I felt so blessed thinking, okay, that's something which gives people so much of joy. And actually, Shut Up Sona is a window into that life also of a performing artist, and specifically a female artist, because it's also about the politics of gender and the politics of our industry when it comes to the music industry, and from the lens of a feminine lens, where the opportunities are so few for us women artists to make any kind of a big brand. And the irony is, we are the land of Lata Mangeshkar and Asha Bhosle. I mean, she recently passed, and there were so many Shraddhanjalis. I, in fact, went for a brilliant, very beautiful event by India Today. There was a Shraddhanjali in Bombay where I attended. And the point I raised there was, and I raise it again, is that we had Lata Mangeshkar, who was the doyen. I mean, when it came to male, female, she was truly ahead of everyone. She was not coming first in the class amongst women. She was truly musical artist of our country. She influenced the whole subcontinent. She stood for copyrights. She took royalties from HMV at a time when even the male artists did not have the gumption to stand up for that. But now we find ourselves in a place in the last 10 years, Shrimoy, where the number of female songs, the number of opportunities for female artists have steadily declined if you watch the numbers. So the film is a combination of a lot. Despite all of that, there is a lot of joy in my life. For example, it's not really a rant or an anger piece. It's a love letter to my country. I am traveling with my band. I get to perform in the most beautiful of places around the country. I really connect to my audience directly. But when it comes to uh, Bombay and the industry back here, Mumbai, there seem to be gatekeepers in place which ensure that I have a much tougher time to even get work, let alone be a woman with a voice who is talking about it all the time. And I'm not going to stop talking anytime soon, which is why this great assertion of shut up, Sona is more tongue in cheek and ironical. I'm not really going to shut up anytime soon. Things are going good, actually.
I so hope you won't. So let's talk a bit about your film Shut Up Sona. So
Mhm.
it's going to be available on OTT. So can you just share with us how this idea of making a film about you blossomed in your head, or how did you churn up this idea?
Well, let me clarify. Unlike all the hagiographies being made in Bollywood, and for all the smart people watching this, you know what a hagiography is, or go and Google it. This is not one of them. I have not made a film to glorify myself, or neither is it an autobiography. And a testament to that is it's done the rounds of the topmost film festivals around the world, from New York to Toronto to Europe. We have won a bunch of things because it's a universal theme and story that has resonated with people across cultures, even people who don't really know me. Who is Sona? So I was not really plying them with Sona Mohapatra's autobiography in this film. It's a musical, it's a political and film. And the reason why I even thought about doing it is I genuinely found myself, in a sense, pushed to a corner. 5 years ago, I realized I am not getting the opportunities I deserve as an artist. Yeah, so I just decided. Literally, I was in hospital. I had dug out a tumor from one part of my body, and I said,
Oh,
"Oh my God, I need to tell my story. I need to uh, take up this opportunity to do much more than sit for others to give me this chance. Let me make my own film, and my kind of a film. And who's going to stop me from singing in my own film?" So the journey, the thought was, let me travel all the top loves. It's like my fantasy coming true. I'm going to travel. I'm going to sing. I'm going to tour with my band. And I'm going to explore my roots and my inspirations. I'm going to search for the music that has made me the artist who I am, and tell the story of that India. In a sense, in my head, it was a love letter to India. So it was very simple. I want to write a love letter to India, a musical love letter to India, cinematically. Let me just go about doing it. How will I do it? पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे? कैसे करूंगी? वो बाद में सोचेंगे. So the idea came. Then I reached out to this very close friend of mine who's a cinematographer par excellence. I mean, she's again brilliant, and she's had a parallel story of not even having as many opportunities as a DOP, one of India's first female DOPs, Deepthi Gupta. And I reached out to her and said, let's make a film. Yeah, let's not wait for others to figure things out for us. Let's just do this. So we got going on the film just like that. Within 10 days, I was out of the hospital. I was told that I cannot tour for more than at least 6 months. But within 1 month, I was back at the Mysore Dasera festival with 2 lakh people showing up. That was the first day of the shoot. And we just kept going from there. I would literally have to go and earn money and then put it back into making the film. So I think it was an act of courage, and an act of, like challenging myself. But also, we ended up making not only a travelogue, but a musical. And then my own life had so many things happening at that time: death threats coming, some criminal defamation threats, some religious organization is going after me for wearing a sleeveless song and outfit and wearing a Sufi song. So I must give credit where it's due. Ram Sampath, who was my partner, said, you are going after this beautiful musical journey on your film, but your life also has this extreme amount of conflict, which is playing out not because you are doing something, it's just there. Why aren't you capturing that in the film? So it was his idea to, even bring in that aspect. And which is a beautiful part about what I would like to say, that this film is also a call out to the brotherhood, so to say, to become better allies, not only to the sisterhood to own their own narrative. I feel we don't have much of a sisterhood. Boys clubs get formed very quickly. in every organization, in every setup, men tend to congregate and understand each other, and just subliminally they help each other. They're comfortable with each other. Women bring in a certain kind of awkwardness. It's not that they're all purposefully trying to, keep us down. There are good men out there, and well, Ram Sampath is one of them. I'm lucky to have him as a partner, and he was very integral in the whole this aspect of my life where I'm constantly dealing with threats, dealing with gang rape threats, acid attack threats, death threats. I'll say something from the, मन में आएगा तो बोल दूंगी, सोच के बोलती नहीं हूँ. कोई strategy है नहीं. I don't have a PR agency handling my communication, so to say. And it's been a choice to be that way. And as a result, it also comes with a lot of chaos. But fortunately, we got to capture this chaos in the film. And fortunately, I must say, without it again becoming controversial, we had a pandemic where suddenly things slowed down. And while we were continuing our festival run, I think people in India who were seeking entertainment of a certain kind, and we struggled to make the film because people don't even understand of a documentary feature. But there were so many interesting content on OTT platforms that blew up and became even bigger hits than fiction films, that I just felt we were ahead of our times, immodest as it might sound. And I think Z5 was really brave that much before anybody understood the merit of this story. The whole team seemed to, they watched it after we had played at the London Film Festival. I got a call from, a bunch of people who were very moved, and they said, we want to show it to India. So I just think it all worked out in a sense that it is a completely Indian homegrown brand. I'm talking about Z5. I think my music is very desi. I speak in an accent which is mine. I've never tried to become anglicized because it's considered cooler in certain circles here. और मैं हिंदी में भी बहुत स्पष्ट बात कर लेती हूँ, और इसमें कोई, मुझे तो गर्व होता है, कोई इसमें कोई शर्म की बात नहीं है, because there is a certain feeling of what is cool and uncool in certain circles. And I think the time is very right, because India is in a very interesting place right now. It is talking about identity. I, as an artist, have no political leanings. I'm almost politically agnostic, I feel. I'm an issue-based person. I speak on issues, and I stand up and I can call out just about any side, So I personally feel the fact that we got a national award also shows it's a validation, it's an affirmation where there are enough people. There's a lot of woke people out here who think everything is like in this very disturbed space in India. And I don't agree. I think India is going towards a much better space in the coming days. I get to travel. It's not just hearsay or sitting in my comfortable air-conditioned house that I'm saying this. I performed in Muzaffarnagar, Shrimoy, which is heartland UP. You have to take you have to drive down from Delhi, and all people giving me gyan about how unsafe it is, communally volatile. Oh my God, Sona, don't do your usual, go off stage, security, maintain the protocol. And guess what? I started this journey with 4 bodyguards, and I suddenly discover a 4-lane highway, which was amazing, an amazing drive, much better than the Pune highway, Pune-Bombay trip, because there was a pit stop just before Muzaffarnagar, where I, by the way, even interviewed my bodyguards too, who very cheekily told me, you didn't need us, we have just come here for the glamour of it, but things have really improved. And here is me actually interviewing them. I'm not prompting them. I have nobody paying me to give this great positive anecdote. You can see that there's jingle bells playing. Starbucks just off Muzaffarnagar. There are couples having it. There is a food hall where there is pipe music in the toilets and somebody's giving me a towel to wipe my hands. I had never experienced. I have traveled all around the country for 10 years and I have seen the smaller places, infrastructure improving. And it's just a place like Bombay and all, you don't really feel that change. But the rest of India, I have seen hotels coming up, waiters coming up to me and talking to me about my sartorial, my fashion choices. आप साड़ी पहनते हो शर्ट के साथ मैम, बेल्ट लगा के, बहुत कूल लगता है. मैं अपने बहन को भी बोलता हूँ कि आप भी ऐसे पहना करो. And imagine a 22-year-old waiter. We are very okay with a 22-year-old waiter talking to us in Paris. But we are such a classist society that I think the idea that this boy came up to me and could chatter so excitedly about the fashion of mine that he follows and likes, that I wear boots with saris and belts with saris, showed me that there is something very interesting happening in young India. And it is the youth, it is young India that I want my film to talk to. Because I know the 40 pluses are not likely to change their minds, or maybe I'm being very judgmental. I hope they change their minds. Just like I hope Mood Indigo and IIT Mumbai and NH7 start including more women on their lineup, because I have actually collated numbers and I've been calling out NH7 every year. And thanks to all that calling out, from 4% to 5% representation of women artists, like 50 acts, and they won't even have one stage which has a woman. Now it's come to teenage numbers, 12%, 13%. I feel they won't call me. IIT Mood Indigo's ego is hurt because I lined up 30 years of data showing they never have a female solo headliner on stage. Never. Asha Bhosle with R.D. Burman in the 80s doesn't count for enough. You can have a metal band from Norway, you can have XYZ, but you will not have Indian solo female artists standing on your stage. So the message or the learn putting out to these young impressionable minds are that women are not leaders. Can't take center stage. They can only act as decoration for the main meal or a add-on dish to the main meal, which is a man. So the film also, in fact, Shut Up Sona has this interesting, chapter where the Mood Indigo guys were calling me to perform on the stage for 3 years in a row. And every time they would put this caveat that, our sponsors and our professors feel if you get Ram sir along to be on stage, and I would say Ram sir never performs with me. I'm Sona Mohapatra live. My band is mine. I've been traveling with them for the last decade plus. Why will suddenly Ram sir come in IIT Bombay, which is such a cool, progressive, like the best of the institutes in the world? But no, no,
Kind
no.
of
So
humiliating also.
it's so humiliating.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I was in tears. I was humiliated. I said, no, ek to, I mean, I won't do this. I know I'm dying to perform on college circuits. It's where the youth is. That's where you can make an impression. But there is it's a very rare exception which will have a female solo headliner. And if we have so few opportunities to build our brands, how on earth is the whole, how are the mindsets going to change if you don't see a female in the center holding center stage? So I mean, yeah, when I see that, uh, when I see the numbers slightly edging towards more positive numbers in NH7 now, because I still keep count, I feel I must have made an impact, because I definitely have, and I must tell you, there is a particular scene in the film in Shut Up Sona where you hear these rants of Sona, Sona, big crowds, and you can never do this in post or cheat in a documentary. It's an actual crowd yelling Sona, Sona. And the fun part, the fun little trivia I must share with you is that is from a concert in NH7 that I am not playing. The NH7 organizers actually told Ram Sampath, when he said, why are you inviting me to perform English music, which I put out so many years ago? Sona Mohapatra is like, she's been, I mean, she wants to play your this thing and you never seem to invite her. And I don't know why he didn't say this at my behest. Let me clarify. But they told him on his face, our crowds are too urban. They are not going to relate to Sona Mohapatra and her music because, because they didn't add why. I'm too desi, dehati, or my accent is not like from LA. God knows what. They actually told him on his face that their crowd or their audiences will not relate to me because it's a little bit of an urban crowd, which is hilarious. But just before Ram said, today I'm going to present, do you know this song, Ambar Saria? And so the crowd suddenly felt that I'm going to appear. And they started chanting. Like they wouldn't stop chanting. I was not there even in the crowd. I didn't attend that concert. And they started saying, Sona, Sona. And I was like, there was no better validation or message to the organizer saying, Bhai, आपको लगता है कि I am not cool enough for a Pune audience or a Bombay audience? What the hell are you saying? In fact, which is another completely tangential thing, because I'm not thought through what I'm telling you, Shrimoy. I'm just speaking from the heart. And that's a lot of what I am as an artist, is that I think there is a certain deracination in certain circles, where I get to see only a certain kind of artist, music artist, that can come on a cover. आप GQ cover देखो, L cover देखो, be it then from Monica Dogra to Raja Lakshmi or Raja Kumari, one of these artists who sings in English. If you sing in English, there's a certain media which thinks you're cool enough to put on their cover. They will not put a KK there. They are not going to. And somewhere, unless we celebrate our own language, our own artists, we operate in these little ghettos. There is one side which will constantly keep sucking up and only say the world is starting and ending from the filmy people. It's like only if you're a playback singer. And somewhere I feel it's hilarious. I've done playback. I've put out albums. I have my own label. And yet, India loves good music. India is a very evolved music audience. I mean, we, in fact, are the only culture where such a complex form of singing, most of our topmost singers, be it from Lataji's era to now, be it Lataji, Shreya Ghoshal, Sonu Nigam, Shankar Mahadevan to Arijit, your biggest pop stars, mainstream big names are actually classically trained, and the most complex of songs is what they can deliver. And our audience is so used to listening to such complex singing in the mainstream. So we are a fantastic audience when it comes to appreciating and knowing what is great singing. And we cannot be comparing ourselves to a Western singer or try to be like them, because we don't have to. We're just so unique in our own space. So when people tell me, oh, do you sing a guitar and are you a songwriter? No, I don't have to be. The kind of singing I do takes a lifetime of riyaz and learning, and the intonation is so complex that I just think what I do and what this is good enough. And in my film, you get a glimpse into what it is to go on a big stage where 100,000 people are going to show up. Because in India, there is no ticket buying culture. It's not as if people pay to listen to music. So to even hold people's attention, and be the only one who's going to do it, it takes a lot. It's a challenge where you have to sing, you have to entertain, you have to tell them stories, you have to keep them glued to their seats, because there's no skin in the game. It's not as if they're paid to come and see you. They've counted on a sponsorship or a government mahotsav, or, so there I just feel these are very pertinent issues right now when it comes to the fact that we just had a World Music Day, saying we need to have a better live music culture, which includes an audience which wants to pay to watch their favorite artists, which includes us building better infrastructure for corporates to back that, for us to have spaces in our cities where young people can just go and let their hair down and sing their songs, or experience the magic of live music. So there is so much when it comes to the live music ecosystem that I would love to talk about, and I hope the film gives you a glimpse into that world also. Apart from the fact that, of course, at points I'm heartbroken, and the theatricals that we had with the film around the world, people would be laughing, like there'd be roars of laughter, then they would be crying, then they would be laughing again. I'm like, am I some kind of a stand-up act? Because I have never found myself to be funny, but clearly this film makes me feel that a lot of people did, and which is why I think it's a tongue-in-cheek, you know like it's got its moments of extreme angst and conflict, but there is a lot of fun in the film, and I hope people tune into it, and I hope you watch it, Srimoy.
I'll definitely watch it when it hits the OTT platform. So this brings me to my next question. You were talking about our culture and all, so you must have seen this huge controversy, this Hindi language controversy, which was there on the screens for a long time. What is your take on that?
I'm sorry, I'm not aware of this controversy. I'm not aware of Twitter, which is very often gutter. But let me tell you this, completely outside of anything that I've heard. I personally went and watched RRR, and I also watched Pushpa. And RRR में तो मैं उठ के नाच रही थी. I was embarrassing that South Bombay Fufa crowd who was like controlling the emotions. I was like whistling, dancing, jumping. And I felt I can sit and critique. I mean, hats off. It's a Sons of the Soil story. I would love to have women better represented there again, for sure, in both the films I'm talking about, but nothing taking away from the fact that they are owning their identity, owning the culture they come from, the effort, the art direction, the fact that they're telling an Indian story, and people look like they are Indian. Nobody is talking with some accent. Our Hindi, most of our Hindi stars, actors, we have fantastic ones. We have Pankaj Tripathi, we have Nawazuddin. I can tell a lineup of some amazing men and women actors. But when it comes to our stars, they can barely even speak Hindi. And it's a shame. You're a Hindi film star. You should be able to speak fluent Hindi. You should be able to lip sync a song. I think Bollywood stopped making Bollywood films to start with. The song and dance, which we did so well, music that used to move the narrative, the relationships, the family dramas. And there is a lot to pull up one's socks with. And I think be it Bahubali coming down and showing that great spectacle of special effects, but owning our own mythology, our own aesthetics. The Indian aesthetics are so strong in all these South films that we are talking about. I would love for the macho posturing to go down a bit. Personally, it's not my cup of tea to watch the Pushpa through and through. Lot of unearned swag, let me put it that way. And that unearned swag even comes through in a lot of the पंजाबी टाइप ऑफ रैप्स. तू मुझ पे मरती है, दिल छिड़कती है, भाई तू गेंडा दिखता है यार, वो लड़की बहुत ही सुंदर है, पता नहीं तुझ पे क्यों मर रही है. So that whole unearned swag aspect I can criticize, but the fact that the South film has shaken up the guys here is a fact, and it's a good fact. Competition has always fueled, I hope, better creativity and better. It's better for the market. I mean, as a student who studied pretty hard, I was into academics. I remember reading a case study saying Pepsi and Coke wouldn't be what they were in terms of peddling that sugared water to everyone if it wasn't for each other. They fueled each other and grew the market. And so I think competition is always good. So I just hope we start owning our own narratives, telling stories which are purely beautifully Indian. We start having more female protagonists, for heaven's sake, because this whole thought that the world of entertainment is only testosterone driven, it's very clear. I mean, they are the ones in power, they are the ones making the stories. And also, it's not about just that. I think more women have to become creators, producers, writers, lyricists, music directors, composers, because women sitting around wanting to be a pretty face or go to the gym and get somebody to give them, then it's going to, you're going to remain there. We might have all the Me Too movements of the world, nobody's going to speak up. Because what worked for the Me Too movement in the West was there were women in the industry entrenched in the trenches. You had women at every stage, available. So there was a groundswell which turned things over and made things. Here, I had even, like my gynac, who's a very educated, wonderful woman, carries an enormous bag, travels the world, telling me, अरे क्या हुआ वो सब मीटू वीटू का, कोई जेल तो नहीं गया. I'm like, that sounds so ridiculous. It's not some Hindi film की कोई हथकड़ी लगा के अनु मलिक को जेल लेके जाता है. It was never meant to be that. That we created an awareness of what was happening, that so many women found the courage to speak up, that it pushed so many of our platforms to have some kind of a policy in place as per the POSH guidelines to escalate matters if somebody steps out of line. These are things that have actually happened. There has been a lot of conversation. People are wary of the manner in which they speak, or their sexist jokes, or everybody is a little bit more aware. And I would think even women in power need to be aware, those rare few women who are. I mean, because I have become more aware also, saying, let me not take for granted that all my acts are fine. I travel with a band of and a crew of 15 people. They are mostly all young men, so I shouldn't assume that the power structure there isn't also very clear, that I'm the leader, I'm the one in charge. And I have to be careful about how I come across or how I talk. I shouldn't be referring to a young 27-year-old as sweetie or some whatever else, darling, sweetie, cupcake. No, that's not the way to talk in a professional setting.
So, Sona, you are quite vocal on social media, and recently you stood against trolls when Amir Khan's daughter Ira was trolled for her wardrobe choice. So, have you ever thought of becoming an opinion or a thought leader, something like that?
You don't think about becoming an opinion or a thought leader. Either your audience thinks you to be or not. So I'm not doing all this with any particular strategy in mind. Is every politician a thought leader? I don't think so. Uh,
Yes.
so your question has to be much more straight up. You think, have I thought of entering politics? Not really. I haven't thought about that at all. So I mean, I feel I have all the makings of lead. I mean, leadership has been something which comes easily to me. I think I take charge of things fairly well enough. But I'm a musician. I'm someone who is a creative person, and right now I'm really enjoying my space. It's a very wonderful space I find myself in terms of being able to even influence change amongst the youth of the country. But it's definitely not with any thought of joining politics.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah,
so much, Sona. Thank you so much for joining
yeah.
us and giving us your time. It was lovely talking to
You're
you.
welcome. You're welcome. Thank you.